Welcome to the 515 Behind the Lens series. I'm Bruce L. Nix Jr.
And I'm your man, JT.
Man, how's your week been, Johnny?
Man, the week has been good, man. It's been a very busy week, but I'm excited about today.
I am too, man. We got a very special guest in the house with us today.
Yeah, man.
On our Behind the Lens series, our second edition of the Behind the Lens series, man.
Yeah.
Tell our audience a little bit about what the Behind the Lens series is.
Well, Behind the Lens, we started our podcast, 515 Real to Real podcast, and the Behind the Lens was a segment on the podcast, and it got so popular that we decided to expand it into its own series. So now we're doing it as its own show.
That's right, man. And so since we're doing it as its own show, man, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get into it.
Yeah.
So today on the Behind the Lens series, we have a true master of voices and storytelling. Today we have someone you've heard him on screen, stage, and countless voice performances. He's an actor, comedian, impressionist, and an artist. From memorable roles in films and TV shows to his uncanny impressions of some of the biggest names in Hollywood. He's carved out a career for himself that's both inspiring while showing his versatility. We would like to welcome on the show today, Jim Meskimen. Jim, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks a lot for that kind introduction. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's cool. That was real cool, Bruce. Jim, we are so excited to have you here with us today. And I know Bruce just did an amazing job with the intro, but I would like to do a little icebreaker before we get started, if you don't mind.
Okay. Sure.
So, Bruce did an intro, but if Morgan Freeman was here, how would he introduce you on this show?
Uh-oh.
This is a man who has seen the world from the top down and the bottom up. He's seen it from the middle ground, from over to the left, and from due south. He's a man who has many friends, and all of them call him that guy.
Absolutely amazing.
I love it, man. I mean, if I closed my eyes and I wasn't looking at you, I would have really thought that was Morgan Freeman right there.
That's insane.
Oh, nice. That's
That
kind.
is
Thank you.
crazy,
Well,
man.
the ice broken?
The ice is definitely broken.
It is definitely broken.
It's definitely broken.
It is definitely broken.
Well, we want to thank you again for joining us on the show, man. Really excited about you being here. And, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and get into it.
That's right. And so you've given the world so many different voices, and today we want to hear your voice, your story.
That's right.
So we're going to get into it here. We're gonna start what I like to say from the beginning, and then we'll bring it on up, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit about your early years growing up as the son of Marion Ross.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us, how was it growing up in that household and even being around Happy Days?
Yeah. I'm lucky. I had a really great mom, and a lot of people know my mom as Marion Ross, Marion Cunningham from Happy Days. Those people that still remember that show.
Yeah.
I find the number of people that remember that show is dwindling to my great disappointment. But there's still enough of us around that remember that show, and
That's
even
right.
a lot of people I meet that say, "Wow, your mom raised me." And the funny thing is that I think people have assumed that, well, if my mom was Marion Ross, that I was raised by Marion Cunningham, but I wasn't. In fact, if you think about it, nobody was raised by Marion Cunningham. She's, a fictitious character. And she's well known and iconic for being a mom, but she's very different from the mom I had. My mom was I would say, kind of tough on herself, a hustler, a hard worker. She was a single mom, unlike Marion Cunningham. And she raised my sister and I after the divorce when I was 8. She raised my sister and I and still pursued this very difficult, very kind of unlikely career as a TV actress, and pulled it off beyond her wildest expectations, I think. And so I grew up in this strange household that was like I would say a kind of a lower middle class household in the time. I mean, middle class doesn't exist anymore, but for those of us who remember Happy Days, we may remember the middle class. And it was, I always had food. I always had my own room, and and stuff, but no frills really. And I walked to school, and I went to public school, and I didn't go to private schools or anything like that. And we didn't have a lot of extra dough for fancy stuff, but we went camping and did stuff with the church, and I had a happy enough childhood. Childhood, I don't think it's happy for anybody, but I had a happy enough one. It's certainly not a bad one. And I would go back and forth from my parents' house and stay with my dad for a while and stay with my mom. And through it all, I drew cartoons. That was kind of my way of coping with things creatively. And I would work things out in cartoons. And to this day, I'm a cartoonist. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun activity for me. And I eventually became a trained artist, and that was my first career. But back in the day when I was growing up, it was like, like anybody going to school. But my mom was often not at home because she might be working on a play, or she might be working on a small part in a film and be out of town. Or she might have to do an audition, and just as I was coming home, she'd jump in the car and drive off to Hollywood to go to an audition, like I've just done. And I know very well the struggles she went through pre-Happy Days, because I've been going through those struggles for the last 30 years myself. And the inspirational part was that she had a very strong work ethic. She set a great example as a performer, because she never laid around and waited for anything to happen. She didn't depend on anybody else. So even though she had agents and had connections and so forth, she kept insisting on being an actress. She would do plays, she would do table readings, and she would do other things that were what actresses and actors do, to get out there and to make more connections, to make better connections. And eventually that really paid off, because she was working on a film that she sort of shamed someone into giving her role in. This is all in her book, by the way. She talks about it in her book, which we helped her to make. And on this shoot that she was on, someone said, I want to introduce you to this casting agent friend of mine. And that eventually led to her being hired by Gary Marshall to do the pilot of Happy Days. And then after a very long spell, that pilot, after being not sold and kind of discarded, came back into the mix with Ron Howard's success in American Graffiti. And suddenly she was on a television series. And then that very slowly, over a couple of seasons, became a hit. And that was a hit for the next 9 years. It was 11 years of being on, and about 9 years of being a hit.
Yes.
So
Yeah, she became one of America's greatest TV moms.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Mrs. Cunningham.
Is that something? And she's a really decent person and a really great mom, but in a different way than Marion Cunningham is. My Marion, who I wrote a song about her, which I do in my one-man show, because my Marion is a very specific person. She was a great supporter of me personally as in my art forms. So if I wrote a poem, or if I made a picture or something, she would always say, "That's wonderful." And she would make a big deal about it. And I find that most kids don't have that lucky break. They don't have a parent that's like uncritical. And my mother was extremely uncritical. When she was critical, it was devastating, but it usually didn't have anything to do with my art forms.
Right. Let me ask you this real quick. So watching her and being around the business, like when was it that you knew that you wanted to kind of transition into that field yourself?
Well, it took a while. I was a young man, and all through my teen years and college, I kind of struggled with the choice. I felt like I had to make a very strong choice. That's sort of like what college does to you. They're like trying to pigeonhole you into choose your major and then choose your career path and all this stuff. And I felt the pressure of that. And I felt like, well, I really should probably choose, but I love painting and I love illustration and I love acting. So I would do plays at the university. I wasn't part of the theater arts um, department. I didn't take classes, but I would audition for plays and get in because I had this special skill. I could do accents. And that's from growing up with my mom again, too. It's like, because she always could do accents. We would do them around the house. So I'd been polishing my British accent for forever and ever, and French and German and everything else, just for such an occasion. And so when I would audition for things, they would go, "Oh my God, we got to put him in our play." And then so I could do a play, have that experience, get in front of an audience without having to deal with the I don't know, the kind of compromise of taking classes.
Right.
And then I would take art classes and do painting and drawing and watercolor and sculpture and all those things that I loved, because I wanted to learn.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's transition into your voice work. So you voiced everything from superheroes to storybots. How do you decide who a character really is before you even bring them to life?
Well, it's a collaborative process generally. Like when you work for an animated TV show or a video game, I've done many, many video games. I'm in the new Marvel Rivals game, which is the #1 streaming game in the world right now with 100 million people playing it, I guess. And I play Ultron.
Yes.
This is my Ultron voice, which I'm creating with this can. But that's because I'm not running it through a filter. They run it through a filter. I have this can, you pathetic organic life form. When it's a collaborative art, so they tell you what they're looking for, and in the audition process, you go, "Oh, okay." Well, they write a description of what they're looking for, and then I consult my library of voices and people I've met and things I've heard and movies I've seen and cartoons and everything else, and I sort of come up with some choices, and I record those. And if they like those choices, they usually call me in and say, "We like what you did. We like take 3 better than take 2, that other character you made," and then you polish it, or what on the day, the director says, "Can you be more, like phlegmy or whatever?" So it's the strength that I have, the superpower that I have, if you will, that's kept me busy as a working actor for almost 4 years in the voice area is being versatile. I can do a lot of different things with my voice. As I said, I can play accents and I can play different ages and I can play different species of things.
Wow.
And deepen my voice and gruff it up. And
I can do that without thinking. It's really as easy as just running my hand along a keyboard. And that just comes with a lot of practice.
But I mean, when was it that you realized that this was something you could do, though? I mean, because the average person can't do voices like that.
Yeah.
It surprises me. It surprises me. I always figured that everybody was goofing around with their voice when they were kids, like I am too. I think it's more of a boy thing anyway.
Oh,
So a
yeah.
lot of
I've
boys-
definitely tried. I can't do it.
I tried,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's like a lot of things. It's like we specialize in the things that we're really interested in. And
Yeah.
a lot of what passes for talent, I think, is just interest. And I was always interested, and it amused me. I would make little shows on my cassette recorder, and you'll talk to a lot of people in animation, a lot of top names in cartoons, and they were like the same little kid that would take a tape recorder and do little shows for themselves and their friends. They're just interested. Other guys are like, "I'm not going to stay in the house and do that. I'm going to go out and play football.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go and play with the horse, or I'm going to go get the dogs and do something." Everybody's got their own field of interest, and that just happened to be mine, drawing and doing voices. And when I moved to New York in my early 20s, I'd been studying painting in Northern California and in Spain. And I was coming back from Spain, and I decided to go to New York City to start my acting career. And I noticed that, my perception was that I had a little bit of an edge over a lot of actors who were struggling for the same thing, in that I could do accents and characters and impressions. I just had a little bit of a leg up because that attracts attention. It's a little bit shiny. And so I would promote that, and I would let people know that that's what I was doing. And it helped me to get into the voiceover area of radio commercials, television voiceovers, a little bit of animation, and industrial films, and at the same time I was studying improv. So I was getting used to being very facile, very quick with creating characters and things for them to say. So I was drilling that constantly. And in advertising, they're always looking for something kind of fun and funny and weird and witty and fast and, something they haven't seen before. And I would go into these advertising agencies and do auditions. I don't think it's done that way anymore. But I made an impact, and I slowly began to build a very, very big and healthy career that way, which gave me stability. And then I could start to experiment more, do unusual projects that didn't necessarily pay anything, but helped give me experience. And after 10 years of that, I was making a living as an actor, a good living, and reaching out into different kind of creative projects.
Well, I was going to ask you this question right quick. So is there one particular voice that you've worked the hardest on that has become like a personal victory for you?
Well, I think the Robin Williams genie, which I
man.
It's one that people really like, and I always get a lot of nice responses for it on social media whenever I put anything up with the genie, because we all feel this kind of fondness for the genie. Number one, for Robin Williams. Number two, and for number three, door number 4. I think. Anyway.
Before we got started, we were just talking about it. I said, "Man, your Robin Williams is insane."
Thanks.
It's crazy. I promise you, if I just close my eyes, I swear,
I'm telling
Robin
you,
Williams is right there.
Right there.
That is insane.
Nice.
Let me ask you this: like you mentioned earlier that you started off in illustration, or doing illustration work. Was it a scary transition, like leaving something that was pretty steady, going into the field that you're in?
Well, there was a moment when I quit my day job, which was working for Rankin Bass Productions. I had worked for them on ThunderCats. I designed characters for ThunderCats, the original show.
Wow.
And then they had me on as a freelancer after that was done, and I worked every day, on another series that they were doing. And I at the same time I was auditioning more and booking more things in the voiceover area. And at one point I just realized, I need to go on more auditions, and I don't really need to have this 9-to-5 job anymore. So I did decide to go totally freelance and leave. And that was a little scary, but it was the right thing to do. And I picked up some spot work as a cartoonist and illustrator for a little while after that, maybe another year. And then by that time, I didn't need to do that anymore. I had enough stuff on the air, and I was booking enough so that, my income was covered.
Yeah. Wow. Now you've had a lot of success in TV, film, and animation. What moments stand out as a real turning point in your life as an artist?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. A lot of turning points. There's a turning point a week.
I stumbled into an improv class in New York. Somebody called me up, and I thought I knew what improv was, and I wasn't that interested in it because I'd seen some, and I was like, well, this is stand-up comedy. I'm not going to be a stand-up comic. But then I took a class with a woman named Tamara Wilcox, and she had come out of one of the Chicago schools. And my wife and I both, she was just my girlfriend at the time, we both went to this class. And within the first few minutes, I realized that she was talking about something very, very more embracive of what I felt a good acting discipline should be. A little more theatrical, less stand-up comedy, more like creating real characters and creating scenes. And I don't know, it just appealed to me. And then as I studied it more and more, I felt a tremendous creative release. So just that one that one little afternoon where we went down to 20th Street to some art gallery where Tamara was holding her classes. And after that, my wife and I both looked at each other and went, wow, this is really cool and unexpected. We're going to have to dig into this. This is cool. And we haven't stopped. I mean, it's all those years ago. And I think I was 24, and we have been continuing to do various things with improvisation ever since. And I feel very confident as an improviser. And even though I'm not in a company performing right now, if somebody threw something down, I'd be ready to go. My daughter and I, we do all these things for Instagram and socials where she kind of ambushes me and says, hey, Dad, do Tommy Lee Jones, and he's just called Animal Services because there's a skunk under his car. And I'll come up with something just on the spur of the moment. Say, well, first of all, that's my pet skunk. It's my emotional support skunk. So I'm not going to call Animal Services. They'll just put him in a big campus bag. So I'm always, ready to go.
Yeah. I'm constantly watching your Instagram page and your YouTube. I love it when you do the fortune cookies.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, we started doing that. We thought, this will really score on YouTube. This will boost our numbers. And it didn't really. But now it's become such a habit. I think for 4 or 5 years, we've done a daily celebrity fortune cookie where I, as you know, spin the wheel and get a celebrity name, open up a fortune cookie and read it in that celebrity's voice. So I'm glad you like it.
Oh, yeah. You about to ask something?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you've worked with one of my favorite directors on a few different films, Ron Howard, who also worked with your mother. Like, what was that experience like, working with Ron Howard and almost like coming full circle with it?
Yeah, I mean, I met Ron when he was 18. I was 13 on the set of Happy Days. So we've known each other. We're not super close friends, but I've been in 5 of his films, and he's a very generous man and a great director, really, really great director. What's great about Ron, from the actor's point of view, is that he's been an actor himself, so he knows exactly what an actor needs from a director. In other words, how to communicate with them to achieve the final product. And also, he has a really great viewpoint, which he's shared before, about his attitude is kind of like, well, I'm kind of like a basketball coach. I'm kind of like a basketball coach, and there's all these different departments. They're all like different players, and you have to figure out a way to communicate to get the best performance out of all these different departments or all these different actors. And that makes a lot of sense to me because it's a team activity. And that's my Ron Howard impression.
Yeah.
And it's a team activity, and if everybody's playing, with the same rhythm and trying to get to the same goal, I mean, you've seen it in his career. The movies are great, and that's what happens. If you're adversarial, or if you feel like you have to beat people up to get things done, or you don't know how to communicate well, it's hard to be a good director, and it gives everybody a hard time. It's just it's difficult, and it's like any endeavor. And Ron's just a great guy. He's just a terrific actor. He was a wonderful actor, but he really wanted from an early age to be a director. He's got a great book out too that he wrote with his brother called The Boys.
Yes.
Very Young Life, have you read it?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, I loved it. I learned a lot. It was incredible.
Now, let me ask you this. I guess for me, this is kind of a deep question, but have there ever been any times where you doubted yourself, and what got you through those moments?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'll be very frank with you. So I had a lot of doubts. Coming out of college, I don't know how college is today, but the college I went to and the times that there were, I came out a lot more confused than when I went in. So luckily it was a cheap college and I didn't know a lot of money, but I was confused. And, I to be frank, I tried to solve some of my confusions with drugs. And guess what? That doesn't work too well. That makes you more confused.
Yeah.
So by the time I got out of college, I was a little bit spinny. Now, I had a very good friend who was my painting teacher mentor who changed my life. And he gave me a book called Dianetics. And if you've ever read Dianetics, you know that it is the modern science of mental health, and it talks about the mind and what the mind actually is made up of. And there's a reason why it's the most popular book about the human mind ever written. It's always a bestseller. So I read that book and I realized, there is a way out of this. There is a way to understand more about myself and the strange feelings and the strange fears and anxieties I'm having. Because as a young man, I was just full of strange thoughts and anxieties and confusions. And that book was the beginning of me pulling myself out of that mess and leading a very purposeful life and in a direction that I wanted to go, rather than just flapping all over the place and waiting for luck to hit me. And so that was probably the most of all the significant things that have happened in my life. That's really the start of the biggest.
Wow.
Okay. What do you hope people feel when they experience your work?
Well, I hope they're excited. I hope they're amused. I hope they're have an emotional experience in some way. I mean, I do so many different things. So often I want people to feel happier, because I want to make them laugh, or I want to make them feel some joy,
That's why the Robin Williams Genie is one of those things that seems to make people just feel warmer all over. It's great. Oh, fantastic.
And other times you want people to be kind of scared, or, if I'm playing a villain, which doesn't happen very often, I like to, create a, oh, gosh, that's spooky, kind of effect. And then also with the impressions that I do, I like people to feel kind of like pleasantly amazed, like a magic trick, because that's what it is. It's a little bit of a magic trick.
If all of a sudden I turn into Patrick Stewart on your show, that's not expected. There's something sort of wonderful about it. I've pulled it out of some deep recess in my mind, like a magician pulls a rabbit out of his vest pocket. And it's sort of thrilling.
So I want the audience to feel that, kind of, it's the same kind of thing I've felt when I've seen great performers.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. So you bounce between comedy and drama like all the time. Like what's that like for you? Like just being able to shift in between the two.
I like it. I mean, these days I'm older, right? So I'm drawn towards drama because it's more complex, and it reflects some of the complexity and nuance and variety of actual life. Comedy sometimes is a little bit binary. It's like there's not as many choices and not many things. You're saying something ridiculous, or you're reacting to something ridiculous. Drama, like I'm recurring on a show called Landman with Billy Bob Thornton on Paramount Plus. And that's a really nuanced show. And they take the time. It's well written by Taylor Sheridan, extremely well written. And it's about real emotions and real situations. And it's not easy stuff to do. It's actually quite difficult, but for me anyway. But I think it results in a reality that people can enjoy and appreciate in a different way than comedy. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to make people feel better, whether it's because they're stimulated intellectually, or they're amused and laughing, or they've got the pants scared off of them. That's fun for me, and that's part of what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask you this. Before we transition, looking back over your body of work and even your family's contribution through your mother, what do you want people to remember the most?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I've still got that ahead of me. I've done a lot of things that people already do remember a lot, like my work on The Grinch, also for Ron Howard, my work on Parks and Recreation, little parts here and there, and even all the crazy social media stuff, which, believe me, I'm making friends every day off of that. It's fun all over the world. Wherever I go, people go, you're on TikTok. But I think that the things that I really want people to remember me for, I have not done yet.
Yeah.
And so they're coming down the road.
That's good.
If you think
Well, I have
like
to tell you, I
this,
watch The Grinch
watch out.
like every year. I have to watch it at Christmas.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's like on my must watch list.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was a great experience. That was an amazing experience. I met a lot of amazing actors, and that was a 4-month shoot, which is
wow.
That never happens.
Yeah. Well, I want to transition a little bit, and I know you've been doing it throughout the show some, but I want to do some little fun rapid fire questions, and
Okay.
I would like for you to answer those questions as some of your cartoon characters.
Okay.
All right.
Are you gonna pick them up?
So this question will be for your character from the last Airbender.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay. You put me on the spot, because that was a long time ago, and I did a couple of different characters last
Hey,
time.
I'll say,
Okay.
hey, let's just do the genie.
yeah,
We can do the genie the rest of the show.
With broad strokes.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's do this one. Let's do this
Okay.
one instead of that one. Give me Ultron. So
Yes.
Ultron, what do you think what do you think is powerful about storytelling?
Storytelling is a way to distract the human race so that the AI-powered robots such as myself and my many, many leagues of robots can take over the world without anyone even noticing.
That is funny. That is super funny, man. And I mean, everyone knows Ultron. Okay, so what about the announcer from Loud House? Can you give me that one?
Was that? I think that was Morgan Freeman, wasn't it?
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
it was. All right. So what do you want to know? What do
Okay,
you want me to-
so Mr. Announcer, how would you introduce? Okay, well, we've already done that. Then, if Morgan Freeman has already introduced you,
We've plowed this field before. This field has been plowed and plowed. It's the plowed house.
What else you got?
I have one.
you got one.
So it's a little different. But what advice would you give to like up and coming filmmakers or anyone interested in getting into business or voice acting or whatever it is that they're trying to do? What would you say to them? And you can do it in a number of different voices if you choose.
Yeah, whatever
Well,
you want.
Do it first of all, Matthew McConaughey, all right, because he's always dispensing good advice. Okay, so here's what I'd say: don't take no for an answer. So if someone says, "Well, I can't do a movie because I don't have a big contract," well, fine. If you got an iPhone, I think you do, right? So go out there, write a story on your own. Do it late at night. Stay up late at night. Burn the midnight oil, baby. Create your own story. And then go out and shoot it with some friends. That's what people are doing all day long. And eventually, sometimes these people get deals or sometimes they don't get deals. But they learn something along the way.
And that's key. You want to be learning always. This is very important. As a starship commander, I can tell you, you absolutely need to be active all the time and not take no for an answer. Create your own material and don't listen to anyone who says that you're not good enough. Just acknowledge that. Say, well, you're right. You're quite right. I'm not good enough, but I'm going to be good enough by continuing to do this activity until I've mastered it.
Wow.
That's absolutely amazing.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you what, there's some deep stuff I just laid on you, That's some deep stuff. You're probably wondering, who am I doing right now? I don't fucking know.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Let me get a little Christopher Walken.
Yeah, what do you want to know? What? How can I help you? I'm just here in a booth. It's hot. I'm not going to lie. Uncomfortable. Ultron was here a minute ago. He left this can. There's nothing in it.
Now, what you about to say?
Go ahead.
I was going to transition a little bit because one of my favorite shows of all time is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Yes.
You heard of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
You've heard of it. Small show. You had a significant role on that show, and people recognize you from that show in different places you go. I honestly, like I say, I watch your Instagram and your YouTube all the time, and I saw that you were just in the airport. Wow, I can't remember exactly where it was.
I do. It was in Aruba.
Yeah, in Aruba. And one of the workers from the airport, or she could have been a flight attendant, recognized you, and she recognized you from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So when you're out and people see you, what are some of the most recognizable places that they've say they've seen you? Would it be the Fresh Prince, or would it be somewhere else?
Well, I began to notice, because I go in and out of Aruba fairly frequently, and I noticed that in Aruba and in LAX, at security, mind you, I get recognized quite a lot for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I wrote a song about it eventually because it was just so crazy. I wrote a rap number about it. But but I'll get recognized. If people will come up to me and say, I think I know you from, and then in my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder where they know me from.
Yeah.
And it always surprises me because people pull these little roles that they just happen to remember that I was on. And I know I'm the same way. I watch TV and I go, oh, there's that guy from that Western I saw years ago. And I have a very, I don't know, like a lot of people, we have face identification,
Right.
voice
Yes.
identification. We file these things away. And then if you run into that person, you're like, didn't you do an episode of, The Cosby Show? And he goes, yeah, I can't believe you remember that. And maybe he did one episode of The Cosby Show. And I saw it once, but I've never forgotten that face, And so I do get recognized these days, most often for the stuff I'm doing for Instagram and TikTok with my daughter. But prior, I was in Texas doing Landman, actually. And a woman came up to me while I was sitting having a cup of coffee outside somewhere in a mall. And she said, my husband over there says he recognizes you. So in my mind, I'm like, probably Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So. He recognizes you from Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at her husband. He's like 90 feet away. And I said, this is incredible. First of all, I was about 40. And your husband is a mile away. This is pretty remarkable. And he remembers me from that little scene in Jingle All the Way. So I went over and talked to him. But, I'm the same way. I store away, particularly performances and performers that I really kind of like. They gave me a little thrill. They gave me a laugh. I keep it, in my mind. And boy, if you see that person, you go, oh, that's that guy. And my wife and I are always doing this with British shows because the Brits, the pool of talent in England seems to be pretty small. So you see the same people playing he's the butler in this one. Oh, he's the wounded World War I vet in that one. Oh, he's the detective in this one. And you go, haven't we seen this woman before? Wasn't she working for MI5 in that other series? And, it's fun.
That's cool.
Let me
No, come on. No, go.
Let me ask you this. Are there any upcoming projects or anything that you can share with us in our audience that maybe we don't know about just yet?
Yeah. I can't talk about the video games, but there are video games coming down the pike.
Okay.
And you won't see me, but you'll hear me. Landman Season 2 is coming up in November 16th, I think.
Okay.
And I'm in 2 episodes in Season 2. I was in the series finale of Season 1, and I'm in 2 episodes in Season 2. It's a great show, and I'm looking forward to having that launch. I did a movie last year. I flew to Malta to work on a film called Hungry, where I'm a principal in that, and I play a retired New York fireman. And my family is in the Louisiana Bayou taking a tour of the bayou, and our boat is attacked by a ravenous hippopotamus.
Wow.
So that's a thriller, a survival thriller, and that'll come out sometime in 2026. I'm going to be in a show called oh my God, what's that called? Margot's Got Money Troubles.
Okay.
Margot's Got Money Troubles. That's going to come out. And then there's a series called Beef that I did an episode of that'll come out this year, I imagine. And that's a pretty popular series, I think, on Netflix, but don't quote me.
Nice.
Yeah. And then cartoons, a lot of animated stuff. I'm working on, there's a new series of Beavis and Butthead that I do voices for.
Wow.
And the 15-minute episodes. I'm doing some of those, and I'm doing a Seth MacFarlane animated show on the Ted franchise. The Ted, the little teddy bear.
Yes.
He's doing an animated version of that. So I'm
really
working on that.
Wow,
that's gonna be cool.
When is that coming out?
I don't know, but animation sometimes takes a little while. I imagine 2026, but maybe prior to that.
That's cool. Now, I do have another voice that I want to hear. I am so excited that you are on the show today, man. You just don't know.
We're not trying to work you too much.
No, and this will be my last one, I promise. But can you give us a little Gregory Peck?
There's an odd request, Gregory Peck. My My Gregory Peck is much better in the morning. I'll do the best I can now. I can at least take on his point of view and his cadence and his sort of authoritative attitude. Marvelous actor. He really was. He was kind of the Kevin Costner of his day, I think, in a lot of ways. Very authoritative. Many, many roles Gregory Peck played in movies. Quite often he played sea captains. I don't know why, but he played so many sea captains that I imagine his feet were always a little bit wet.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I thought you were going to say George W. Bush.
Oh my gosh.
Used to was president.
Okay, so how would George W. Bush close out your interview?
Tell you what, you've all been a real good audience in that I haven't heard anything. There's been negative applause, negative boos. It's all good. It's balanced out. The yin and the yang.
Man,
wow.
Pleasure. Amazing.
And a deep pleasure below the epidermis, if you know what I mean. That's Latin for give me some sunblock.
Man, it's amazing.
Jim, we have to say we really appreciate you joining us on the show, man. This has been like so much fun.
Yes, it has.
Man, we're fans.
Yes.
Love your work, man, and we look forward to everything that you have coming up.
Oh, thanks, man. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Tell all your listeners they can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Jimpressions, and I'm on YouTube at Jimpressions, and I'd love to meet them. They can reach out and say hi.
It's right there on the screen, folks.
It's right there.
Make sure to follow Jim. And man, we're looking forward to everything you have coming up. And again, thank you for joining us on the show.
And
My
whenever
pleasure.
you or anybody that you can want to be on the show, just let us know and we'll have you back anytime.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul McCartney might want to be on the show sometime. I mean, he's really terrific that way. He does a lot of chat shows, and it's always nice to visit with him.
All right, I'll leave you with that, guys. Thanks a lot.
So,
It's a pleasure.
Jim Meskimen, everyone.